Hello. We are here for our coffee with a coach today. I tried to hook up to internet with Zoom this morning and it seems as though it's not going to work. So the end of our week is much like our beginning, but I am going to choose to stay positive about this and just know that at least we can still show up live in Facebook. So when Zoom fails us, we'll just meet here. At any rate, we are here for our coffee with a coach. And if you are planning to attend in the Zoom room, please join us here instead. The Zoom link is not working. For some reason, it's not even interfacing with my computer today. I don't know what the problem is. I've been working on it for a half an hour now and just decided to just go ahead and do it here instead. So hopefully the people that were planning to join us in the Zoom room, I think there were 16 people that had RSVP'd for today, will think to look here as well so that we can still talk and chat and share some information here. I am more than happy to answer your questions. I want to make sure that we can talk about any of the tools and strategies that we covered this week. I want everybody to leave the workshop this week knowing exactly how they are going to implement the tools and strategies that we learned for their child and in their family and for the situations that you need help with. So if by chance we finished the week and you're thinking, wow, these sound good, they sound workable, what I really need is somebody just to help me figure out what my next step is, I want you to know that is what I'm here for. I would love to hop on a phone call, get on a Zoom call. Hopefully later today I can get that to work so that we can talk through what you can do next, how you might decide to put those tools to use with, maybe it's your highly sensitive child, maybe it's a child that you suspect may be struggling with ADHD. Yes, Zoom is not working. For some reason, it wouldn't interface with my computer this morning, and it keeps telling me that I'm not online, and yet I am online. And so I don't know what's wrong with it. I am equally frustrated as I know some of you are this week with just the tech stuff that we've had to challenge ourselves through, just working through it. At any rate, I just want you to know we are here in the Facebook Live, and we will still have our whole coffee with a coach right here. And I would still love to share some great information with you. Mickey, could I ask you just to post under the Facebook link that the Zoom link is not working, that Zoom room will not open today? And I don't know if it's just my service or if it's across the board, but Zoom is not working. So good morning, Cherise. Good morning, Mickey. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, great. Okay. So if one of you guys or both of you guys could just help route some people in. We had, I think, 16 people say that they wanted to RSVP and join us in the Zoom room. And so I feel terrible that now the Zoom room is essentially locked. And so hopefully people will knock on this door here in Facebook and join us here instead. Okay, let's see here. I am hoping that we can answer any questions people have. I wanted to direct your attention to the workbook. In the back of the workbook, you will find a coaching needs assessment. And I would encourage you to look through that coaching needs assessment and maybe mark some things that you think might be helpful for you to take a look at. And then I want you to score yourself and see where you fall on the coaching needs assessment. It can kind of give you an idea of what support, what resources, what your next steps could be. And I know many people have watched the videos through this last week. We had over 125 people registered for this workshop. So if you know somebody that was in the workshop, I would encourage you to connect with them, swap some ideas, maybe even be accountability partners as you start implementing all of those tools and strategies. I know I read a statistic the other day about how many people fail to meet their goals, and it was astronomically high. Like 90% of people, when they set out, like with New Year's resolutions, plan to meet those goals, but about 90% of them fail. However, when they had an accountability partner, they were at least 65% of them that would make those goals. And when they would meet routinely, like on a weekly basis with that accountability partner, it was as high as 70 or 75%. And so I want to encourage you, if you are serious about making those changes, put something in place that helps support you. All right, let's see. I am going to be able to answer your questions if you will post them. So I'm sorry I might be able to unmute you on this. I typically don't do it from my phone because you just have less button options. And I'm trying to see here, I think we have the capacity for a, let's see, join on video. So you can join on video. It looks like Kristen might be wanting to. Kristen, I'm going to go ahead and add and see what happens here. I think what it might do is give you access to come on the screen, which is fine. If you want to come on the screen and say something, that would be great too. I'm just thinking that our options are going to be a little slimmer today since we're doing it from my phone and not the computer. Thank you, Cherise, for putting that. We do apologize for the inconvenience of the Zoom room. Essentially, I appear to be locked out of the Zoom room today, so we are just doing it here in Facebook Live. And I want to encourage you, if you are here, please put here in the comments section. We're going to be doing some book giveaways, and if you are here, that is an entry into the book giveaway. So please be sure. Kristen, did you have something you wanted to share with us? It said that you were wanting to add to Cameron. I didn't know if you were just wanting in on the call or if you had something you wanted to share.
No, I'm just in on the call.
Very good. Okay, thanks for being here. Okay, let's see here. Hopefully we can get this all. Okay, very good. We're back full screen. Okay, I wanted to start with sharing some of my favorite parenting books with you. And I see one of them is on the counter over there that was really important for me to share, so I'm going to grab that real quick and I'll be right back on camera. Okay, one of my favorites that I want to share with you has to do with this book right here. It's called The Explosive Child. And I really wish that they had titled this book differently, because I think some parents might be a little bit turned off by what the title sounds like. It might sound like maybe this is only for children who are just maybe out of control. And I really encourage you to think more about emotions that can tend to be explosive, and not just directed outwardly, but emotions that can even be held in and creating a lot of pressure internally for children. And so I encourage you, a lot of what we talk about in Calm Connection relates to the things that he talks about here in this book. And he has some really great quotes as well. And I use those a lot here in our group and on other social media, like Instagram posts and things like that. So you'll see this book. It's by Dr. Ross W. Greene, The Explosive Child. And I think it has some really good things in there that we talk a lot about here in the Calm Connection program. Another one that I really like is The Whole Brain Child. And this one is really good. It's by Dr. Daniel Siegel and Bryson. And it is really good too. It really helps you understand the brain, how your child's brain functions, and how closely that relates to their emotions and their mood. Yes, Autumn, I'm so sorry. I see you tried to get the Zoom and you couldn't get in either. I couldn't either. I don't know what was up today. It was a Zoom across the board or just my Zoom and my computer. But we're doing it here at Facebook Live, and it will still be recorded for people to be able to watch later. Hi there, Lori. Good to see you. I love seeing familiar names that come across. Cherise and Kristen are part of the Calm Connection program currently. And if either of you want to jump on and say a little bit about the program before we are done with our coffee today, I would welcome that. So if you would like to do that, just comment below, willing to, or yes, count me in, or whatever. And at some point I am going to put you on instead of me, so that you might be able to tell some people about your experience working together in the Calm Connection. Very good. Thank you, Cherise. Okay, another book that I want to share with you is this book here called Parenting: 14 Gospel Principles That Can Radically Change Your Family. And I thought this book was really good about just reminding us as parents what our role is, the godly perspective of what our role is. I think a lot of times we start thinking that we need to control our child's behavior, we need to change their hearts, and this book just really focused on remember that God is working in their life. And our job, our role is to direct them or guide them, but that we basically just pray that God will work in their hearts and that God will bring them close to Him, and that their relationship, their character can be shaped largely because of what we model and what we nurture and how we help guide them, but not that it's our job to change them, but work with who they are and how God created them to be. Another one I love is Discipline Without Damage. This is a really good book, talks a lot about the connection that is so important. Oh, thank you, Charisse. Charisse is putting the books in the comments. So if she misses one there, I can catch it later, but thank you so much, Charisse, for putting those below the video so people can see that. This is Discipline Without Damage by Dr. Vanessa LaPointe. And we have a whole module in the Calm Connection program that we talk about a fresh perspective of parenting, because I think it's so different than the way that we oftentimes hear people talking about discipline. And people start thinking that discipline is like punishment. Discipline is about consequences. It's about fixing what they did wrong so that they don't do it again, or so that they're scared and won't do it again. And it's not about fear. It's not about scared. It's instead about making connections with them so that we can then correct them in ways that their heart is open to hearing, open to understanding. And that's one of the reasons that I really like the concepts that we use in Calm Connection, because it helps set up that foundation for what discipline looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, and how you might even be able to judge if it's effective and when it's effective. Another one I really like is this brain-body parenting. Another one that we use a lot of concepts in for the basis of the Calm Connection program. And it's by Mona Delahooke, Dr. Mona Delahooke. And you'll see a lot of quotes from this book that I post as well. So those are a few of the parenting ones. I still have a big stack here, but I don't want to just lay a bunch of information on you right off the bat. After all, we're having coffee. We're having coffee and we're chatting and we're answering some questions and hopefully having some interaction. Not quite as much fun as the Zoom room would have been, but still trying to interact here, answer questions, and just really connect with you today. So I'm going to pause for just a minute and see if anybody has questions that you would like to post. Put those in the comments section. I can see them. They're scrolling right under where my face is. So I can answer those questions as they come up today, much like I would in the Zoom chat. Feel free to put them in the comments and I will see your question and try to answer it as quickly as possible. Charisse, I know you said that you are in the Calm Connection program, in the VIP program. Would you want me to give you access just to come on and say a word or two about your experience? Let's see here. Okay, I sent her a link. Hopefully she can grab that link and you can hear from Charisse. Go ahead, Charisse.
Good morning, everyone. I'm on audio only because I'm still on in my jammies. But what I want to say about the Calm Connection Parenting Program is that it's a full comprehensive parenting package and not just specific to, emotional dysregulation, sensory dysregulation, mental health, or mood disorders, even though my children do struggle with, one of my children struggles with ADHD and mood disorder and things like that. But, you get so much support, especially because my husband and I are in the VIP coaching program. And so we have extra support from Jamie with an app called Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie. And that for us has been so supportive because it's so different than all of the different doctor's offices and therapy offices, right? Jamie and I don't play phone tag. I don't have to wait until a nurse is available to call me back. I don't have to wait 3 to 10 business days. You know, we can just talk quickly on the Voxer app, and it works like a walkie-talkie. And so there are some times when I am reaching out to Jamie for support and help, and I'm leaving the message, and since it functions like a walkie-talkie, she can hear it in real time. And so I at least know that she's there. You know, it does help just having someone there, and then I know that she'll get back to me in a timely fashion because, you know, she has a husband and 7 kids herself. But you know, it's nice to have the supplemental support in addition to all of the logins. And I'm logged in right now on my PC, which you guys can't see, but you know, I think I completed 41 out of 59 pre-recorded comprehensive videos that go along with parenting in a nutshell, especially parenting the godly way. And it's really challenged myself in some of my mindsets. I think one of the biggest things I learned was just because I grew up and have parents doesn't mean I know how to parent, you know? And so it has been transformational and life-changing. And a lot of these modules in the login, I've had to re-watch multiple times before I felt ready to move on to the next one, even though I've been in this program since October, November, you know, and these logins, this information that we logged into will have for a lifetime. But yeah, so that's all I really want to say.
Thank you, Charisse. It has been a joy to work with you, and I'm so excited for what the coming months will bring. You know, those first few months, we throw a lot of tools and strategies out on the table. We start getting just familiar with what all we have, and then we really start working to implement them. And I'm super excited because I know you are already seeing wins in your family, and I'm super excited for the wins that are yet ahead of you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Very good. Mickey said she's excited and a little nervous to start. I totally get it. Totally get it. Okay. Mickey, did you have any specific questions about the program? Maybe something that you're nervous about that we can help put your mind at ease? Feel free to comment below, or I can turn on your camera, either way. I am going to go ahead and share a couple other things that you might enjoy. I know during this week we talked a little bit about the ADHD, and you know, what if you think your child might be showing some signs of ADHD, and what do you do? And I really encourage you to start by talking to your doctor, start by talking to a pediatrician. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, one of the first things they may say is, what are the grades like? It's okay to push further and say grades are good, but it's the emotional control, or, you know, one of those other things that you may notice. But that is usually the first step if you need to check into that. It may be through counseling that you can kind of get some direction on if a counselor is picking up on that, or it may be through your medical doctor. But that is where you can start to figure some of those things out. This here is a really good book. It's called Smart But Scattered. They actually have this for many different ages, but it has some great ideas for how to set up some good supports for a child who is struggling with the ADHD. That's Smart But Scattered by Peg Dawson, Dr. Peg Dawson and Richard Guar. So that is a really good book too. Let's see, Mickey says, not sure, think just ready to start. We were able to reroute an issue with our son this weekend, just using, let's see, just using some of the tools you taught us last week. That's great. I love hearing that. I love when I get to hear of successes. And you know what? When you have fails, that's okay too. I want to hear those, and I want us to brainstorm how we might make just those little switches and start trying something. Even just the tiniest little switch in things can bring a totally different result. Maybe it relates to their emotional need. Maybe it relates to their personality. It might relate to something that they aren't able to articulate, or a skill they haven't even learned yet. And so sometimes just through brainstorming, through talking to somebody who's on the outside looking in, there's not as much emotion, and I might be able to see some things or pick up on some things to give you to try, some things to explore. Okay, I also want to bring up a couple sensory books that I think are really helpful. This one here is, well, I'm going to show you my favorite one first. This one here is Understanding Your Child's Sensory Signals. And this is written by an occupational therapist by the name of Angie Voss. And the reason I really, really like this is because you can look in the table of contents and it lists like the problem that you might be seeing. So you might find things like overheats very easily, or fireworks cause distress, or being in a restaurant causes distress, or scratches himself, or walks on toes, excessive questioning about events, places, times, or people. When you look up what the issue is, it gives you the page. And then you can go to the page and it lists a sensory explanation as well as ideas that can help, some things that you might try out, some things you might consider, ways that you might be able to work with that sensitivity and make it easier. That is probably one of my favorite sensory books. Let's see, Mickey said, don't get me wrong, there were some tears, but we were able to talk through how he and my husband were feeling. I think I'm excited to help him relearn communication and not shut down right away. Very good. Adam says, I feel overwhelmed with my DMDD child and starting something new will trigger him more. Okay, so maybe Autumn, are you feeling like what you're doing right now is working and those tools are ones that you just want to stick with? Or are you talking about a specific tool in it's a specific tool that maybe we talked about here? I can maybe help you figure out ways that you can implement these tools in very gentle, nurturing ways where it doesn't feel like a big switch up. Because as we talked about, oftentimes the unpredictable or the unfamiliar is a bit of a trigger for them. And so sometimes it's just in the calm moments, introducing something new as even a fun game. You know, maybe it's the thumb signals that can be your fun game. Maybe it's a word. I know there was a mom in the Calm Connection group this last few months that her and her son came up with like their code word, where he was able to start identifying when his body was working toward that meltdown. And when you can teach them to notice their body signals, that is the best step possible, because they're going to likely feel things before you may pick up on it. We just have to train them to notice those things sooner and sooner and sooner so that we don't get to the meltdown point. But that body awareness is so huge. Okay, Autumn, let's see. I understand you feel overwhelmed. Starting something new would trigger him more. You know, I think that might be a fear of a lot of parents, but I want to put your mind at ease that sometimes what kids need are just strategies that bring some wins. And that when they start feeling, wow, I have some confidence in this, or wow, this tool is working, or wow, we're starting to work as a great team, their confidence has helped kind of boost that and carry it even further. She said, what I've learned in your class is working with a couple of my kids, but it's kind of hard with him. Yes, with DMDD, it can take a while. It can take a while because what you're working with is kind of a hard exterior. And so the more you start seeing successes, the more you can help him start feeling excited about that. So much so that when these things started working with our child who has the mood disorder with the DMDD, we were able to start saying to him things like, look what a good team we are. Look how we just worked through that. We used a tool. You know, he started being able to identify tools. He started being able to identify successes. He started being able to advocate for what his needs were. And while it didn't turn over overnight, it took a while because we had to really build on that foundation of trust, on communication, knowing that when he said something, I would work really hard to understand it. Yes, a lot of these kiddos do have some attachment issues. And I know, you have some kids that have some pretty extreme issues, and working through those attachment issues are going to be an extra challenge. And I think as you start feeling success, as you start feeling that connection, as you start building that trust, that will start breaking down some of that hard exterior to where he'll start letting down more and more. You know, a lot of these kiddos that do have the attachment issues, that have the sensory issues, that may have some of these mental health, they're trying to be self-protective. For a lot of them, especially with DMDD, their systems are kind of stuck in threat mode. They feel like they're constantly in threat and have to protect themselves. So talking about feelings can feel really scary. Having to stop and decide what they want to do can feel very scary. And so the more you start breaking down that hard exterior and building that trust, the more he will be able to trust your problem solving system and how important that collaborative problem solving really is. Okay, any other questions before I show you a couple more books? I encourage you, Autumn, stay connected here, and I would love to just keep encouraging you. I know right away in this workshop this week, you are already plugging in those tools to use. So stay plugged in here in the Parenting with Personality group, and we just want to encourage you, walk with you on this journey. I don't want anyone to feel like they are parenting alone. So I am here for you to support you and help you however I can. You may have some other kiddos that have those sensory issues, and so I want to share a couple other resources with that. This one here is Everyday Games for Sensory Processing Disorder, and I originally got this because it had some really fun things to try in the summertime. We needed some fun things that would kind of be like brain breaks or body breaks, things that would get us moving, but also have a benefit with it. Summers can be really tough for a number of reasons. Number one, it's not as structured as the school year is. And for a lot of these kids who are highly sensitive or highly emotional, they need more routine. They need that structure. So having some of these built in to the day would help with their sensory needs, as well as knowing that we were going to do certain things at certain times. So I like this book and their ideas in here. Another one, if you're just new to kind of figuring out what sensory even includes, is this one here, Sensory Processing 101 by Dana Abraham. She's actually the colleague of mine that I first heard use the word huddle. And I loved it so much, I just adapted it a bit to be Family Huddle. And I just continue using it because I feel like it's just so appropriate and useful in the family setting. So this one here, Sensory Processing 101, she breaks down the book and talks about each of the 8 sensory systems. And I really like this book because they talk about the sensory systems both from an occupational therapist perspective as well as a parent perspective and how you might be seeing it in your home, in your daily routines with things that are going on there. So I encourage you, if you are new to sensory processing, this book would be really helpful for you to have. You can see that I've marked mine here. The reason I've marked it is because in one section, she talks about what it is. Then in the back, I've color-coded mine so that I can go to that same sensory system, and then she has activities for that specific system. So you can see I've used this book a lot. Now, some of you may not remember what all of these books are. I am so grateful Sharice is putting them in the comments for me. I also want to let you know I will post my Amazon idea list where I have all of these books listed, and you can find those listed on the idea thing right within Amazon, where if you want to purchase those books, you are able to do that. So I will post that link later today, so all of these books are there. Yes, I'll drop the link so you can catch it. I also want you to remember the Yuzu book. And why does this book matter? Because it helps you learn that very foundational idea of what your child's personality is. Understanding your child's personality is so important to understanding what are their strengths and how can you tap into those. What are their potential struggles and how might you maybe help guide them in bringing those struggles, which are oftentimes strengths taken to an extreme, back into a strength. It might even help you identify where they have emotional needs, because a lot of times when their emotional needs aren't being met, we see their emotions and their behaviors escalate. And so figuring out personality is one of the easiest, quickest first steps to understanding your child. And this is actually a story form. So it's a personality assessment for kids where you read the story about the monkeys in the zoo, they figure out which monkey is most like them, and then you do a little assessment and figure out what the results are, which is essentially what your child's personality is likely to be. And as I've mentioned this week, you can also go to parentingwithpersonality.com and find there the link to a quiz for your personality as well as your child's personality and your child's love language, which is another book I don't have sitting here, but I know is on the list, and that is The 5 Love Languages, which I think really helps streamline our approach to loving our children in the language that they understand. And I don't know if you're familiar with love languages. Who here has read the love languages book or knows about the love languages? Maybe you even know your love language or your child's love language already. Anybody? I'm looking in our comments here. Yes, Mickey's excited about learning her child's personality. I know, with 3 of them, you're going to have a little bit of variety. Okay, it sounds like she is familiar with the love languages one. It's a great, great book. Yes, Autumn has. Very good. Okay, another book that I just really like for encouragement is this one here, The Midnight Mom Devotional. And it's kind of written like somebody that's praying for maybe a tired or a weary mom. And it just feels like they've almost watched you in your day and know exactly what you need. But these prayers are oftentimes posted on her Facebook page. And I just loved them so much that I got online and requested this on my Amazon wish list, and I got it for Christmas. And so it's just really a good one for encouragement. Let's see, Mickey says her son's love language is physical touch and words of affirmation. That's right, and it's so helpful when you know what it is, then you don't have to just aimlessly try to show them love. You can be like, okay, I know physical touch really matters. With my child who has love language is physical touch, she is really, really needing lots of hugs, time to snuggle, back rubs, you know, pats on the back, just lots and lots of touch. And if you're a person that doesn't matter to you, you can forget sometimes as a parent to kind of branch out and do more of that. Okay, let's see. Kristen said, yeah, I was going to say the Midnight Mom Devotion on Facebook. Yes, is on Facebook a lot. It is. And that's where I first saw it, Kristen, and I was so excited to just get the book because the collection of them are just really, really neat. I've thought before about maybe even posting one a week in our group, obviously giving credit to her. That book is by Becky Thompson. Very good. Okay, I will have to add this to the, I thought that I had added this just recently. Maybe I need to update my link. I will check that, Sharice. Sharice is not sure that this one is on my link, so I'm gonna make sure I go back and check that. Mickey says, what is ironic? I am not a physical touch person at all. So the struggle is real and he wants hugs all the time. I hear you, Mickey, I hear you. And it actually used to be a way that we would motivate our child to get ready for school on time, because if she would get ready for school on time, I would sit and snuggle with her for whatever time she had left. And so learning what those love languages are can also be really helpful in motivating them. You know, if they get something done, then maybe you get to sit down and you get to, you know, read a book together side by side and, you know, sit on your lap, a back scratch or a back rub, or, you know, whatever it is they like. These kids are kind of like cats in that they just don't get enough touch. And if touch is not on your radar, it's easy to overlook that. And yet it can be an easy one to add in to de-escalate some of those behaviors or emotions. Yes, Autumn, I would encourage you to check it out. Okay, another book that I have actually just started reading, but so far it has been really good, is this book here, Triggers. And I am not sure if this is on the Amazon link or not. I will have to check. This is Triggers, and it is by Amber Leah, Exchanging Parents' Angry Reactions for Gentle Biblical Responses. Cherie says, my oldest daughter's love language is winning. She loves to beat everyone in games, and it's hard for me to sit Let me see if I can get the see more button to work here to sit through it. Maybe a personality thing, maybe quality time thing. Very good. You know what? It is likely quality time and maybe words of affirmation. Kiddos that are competitive tend to be a little bit more of the task focused kind of kids. Maybe the powerful choleric could possibly be the proper melancholic, where the winning kind of comes with doing it right, doing it perfect, doing it better than everybody else. So it can be really interesting. I encourage you to play games, play games, play games for so many reasons. Number one, it's a great thing to do one-on-one. It gives you something to do where you can throw in talking about feelings, and it takes away some of that threat or some of that nervousness that some kids feel about talking about their feelings and just opening up and sharing. And so if you're doing something simple like playing Uno or playing Spot It is another one of our family favorites, it can give you that time where you're one-on-one, but it's not a high skill game where they have to think a lot. It's just kind of going through the motions of playing the game. Autumn says her child is like that too, Cherise. We have a house full of competitive people. For those of you that don't know, we have 6 boys and 1 girl. And I would say every single one of them is competitive. Every single child is competitive for different reasons and in different ways, but competitive. And we do have some that are highly emotional and competitive. And it can feel a little bit ugly when a highly emotional child is not winning, but it is really good to gameplay for modeling what that inner dialogue is. When we model that inner dialogue of what it feels like when you're losing, it helps our child learn how to implement that kind of self-talk for themselves. Yes, Karen says, my kids love games, a great time to visit. Yes, Mickey's house is a competitive house too, and Mickey's super competitive. Okay, we may need a game night or something for Calm Connection. I don't know. Yes, okay. All of us have competitive households and some high emotions, which maybe that's why we see it coming out, right? So I encourage you to play those games. And when you're winning, what does it sound like? Do you encourage other people? You know, it's all right. You're doing a great job too. This helps them learn those skills. Play, play, play is one of the best ways that kids learn. And so much of that is being taken out of school that I think it makes it even more important that we do more play at home. Purposeful play that teaches skills in a very non-threatening way. It might even be, you know, we've talked about how kids with executive functioning delays, with executive functioning struggles, with ADHD, with ADD, with any of those, it can be hard for them to wait their turn. Waiting is something they have to do often in a game. And so it might be waiting for your turn. You might talk about what that internal dialogue is. Oh man, I can't wait till it's my turn. I'm so eager to go. It's so hard to wait. Just really trying to figure out, what is it that the child struggles with? Is it how it feels when they're losing? Is it how they feel when things aren't going right? You know, in our house, we have several games that are quick and easy to play that we just keep out in the living room by the end table all the time. We have probably 3 different varieties of Uno because that's a quick one. We have a Monopoly that's a quick Monopoly because the other Monopoly takes forever. If you need a quick Monopoly, try, I think it's Monopoly Towers, Monopoly Empire maybe, where you do billboards, and it goes so much faster and is so much more fun to play than the long and drawn out Monopoly. We also love to play Quicks. It's a dice game. We also, that's what I should have done. We could do like a 10 best every month, do a top 10 or something. I love games, and we have some that work really, really well. And one is called Tenzi. And it's just a dice game, but kids of any ages can play that. You know, our youngest can play it, our oldest loves playing it. So a lot of times we just pull out the Tenzi dice, sit down on the floor in the living room and play maybe 4, 5, 6 rounds of Tenzi. And then we move on and do something different. These are great brain breaks. We need a game coffee chat, Jamie. I know. I know, Charisse, for all of us that love fun, we might have to have once a month coffee chats where we all bring your favorite game or bring your favorite book or bring your favorite whatever it is, coffee, and chat about these things, because it makes me so excited when we start thinking of fun things that we can try to be purposeful and intentional in what we're teaching and training. Dart Wars in the Munson house, and they rotate teams. This has been a lot of fun. Oh, that's great. You know, a favorite in our house is hide and seek. And the kids were so excited because my husband hates playing games of any kind. In fact, I could maybe count on one hand the games he's played over the years. He dislikes them that much. However, they even got him to play hide and seek one night, and they love it. They love shutting all the lights off in the house at night and then everybody playing hide and seek. And they just think it's great fun to figure out where mom and dad are going to hide or where their teenage siblings are going to hide. It's a favorite. And then, of course, flashlight tag is one of their favorites in the summertime outside in the dark. So, you know, fun little things like that take no setup. They're not expensive. You don't have to buy a single thing. It's just spending that time together. Charisse, let's see what she says here. She says, I told my oldest that my mom would be upset because I didn't play games with her either when I was growing up. I don't play video games either. My husband buys me video games. I hate playing any type of games. I need to get better at spending time with my kids and playing games. You know what? Games can be super hard. And I think that picking the right kind of games might be a really good key, Charisse, because it kind of depends on what your personality engages with. You may need something that's quick moving. You may need something that is a short duration. There are so many games like that, but it helps to be directed to those. I think there's also some that kids resonate well with. Maybe it's that it doesn't take a lot of skill. Maybe it's that they can identify that whether they're good or not at something, they may still win. Our family also likes Q's and Hues. It's a color game, and that one's kind of fun. The kids will love bringing that one out. So that may be another idea if you were looking for fun games. I know you love color, Charisse, so you might like Hues and Hues. It's really fun. It was, I think, game of the year last year. And so every year at Christmas, we try giving each child a game. And you can imagine how many games we have accumulated over the years in our house, but you lose one piece, then a lot of times that game isn't able to be played. So we have our favorites. We keep those out and handy. I encourage you, find a game that's quick and easy that you can keep handy so that you can practice those skills. You can practice modeling the dialogue. Man, I'm getting so unlucky today. I get so frustrated when I'm not winning. I really like winning better. Whatever is going on in your mind, I encourage you, model what the dialogue sounds like. Yes, Charisse, I know you love color. We have art stuff. We love to color together and paint. Yes, I still love coloring. And thankfully, I have boys that like to color still, like the youngest two maybe. And they also like doing YouTube tutorials on how to draw. So that might be something. If you're maybe a little more artsy and not so much game minded, you can still do the same kind of role play with things like drawing. Autumn says she needs to spend more time with her kids playing games like board games. We can't do electronics here. You know, Autumn, I understand. We had to really limit our electronics as well. We found that our little one that had a lot of the issues with sensory and the mental health stuff almost had like an addiction to the electronic games. And so we really had to limit those to where we would do like 30 minutes on the weekend days, 30 minutes in the like end of the morning, and 30 minutes end of the afternoon. Let's see, Oregon Trail board game is a fun family game as well. Our kids love it, and Uno. Our kids like to draw, and yes, Mickey's family likes the drawing stuff as well. Yes, I think we have the Oregon Trail board card game. I think we have the card game. We also like Clue a lot at our house, so we'll do Clue sometimes. Let's see. Lots of arts and crafts. Autumn's family does a lot of arts and crafts. You know, I had to be selective about arts and crafts because our child who was easily triggered would trigger over what he would imagine being able to do in his head and what he would then see in front of him. And what would start as fun would end up a horrible blow up. And so a lot of times we would have to talk through, okay, Let's see, you want to make this, it might be a little bit harder than you think. It might not turn out perfect, but kind of prep his brain for what it might look like. Even if it wasn't perfect, it was still going to be good because doing it is part of the fun. Oh, yes, Charisse can sit through Clue. Very good. Oh, Megan has some ideas here. Mousetrap, Monopoly Junior, and card games like Speed, War, Slapjack, and Uno. Yes, card games are great. We have several of those out because they can usually happen really quick. And for those of you who are tired of regular Uno, I encourage you to try Uno Flip. Once you play Uno Flip, you might not want to go back to regular Uno, but if you're tired of just the usual colors, the back has teal and purple and pink, and it seemed like there was maybe a fourth color. Just adding that little bit of variety, that little bit of switching things up, and that is really fun. Settlers of Catan once or twice a year. Yeah, that's a big game. It's a tough game for those older kids. They may love it. A little bit of strategy there. I'm so competitive and I never do very well at that game, but I have played that. It is a good one. Oh man, we've covered some good ones, some good books, some good games. Let's see, does anybody have any questions? Questions on any strategies, tools, things we talked about this week, how you might utilize game playing, role playing, any questions? I'm gonna pause here while you type any questions in the comments. Catan Junior is good because I cannot bring myself to teach my kids the whole big game. Yes, it takes a little bit of training. We've been playing Connect 4, definitely an experience for my competitive kids. That is another good one. And it's nice and quick and easy, and the games go fast, so if they have to wait for their turn, it's not too long of time that they're waiting. Megan says that's her boundary. Very good, Megan. They know what to expect. We might have to have some local game nights or something. I don't know. Get all of these competitive kids together. You never know. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? We scheduled an appointment for our child to be tested for ADHD and sensory issues. What are some key questions that we should ask the doctor? That's great. First of all, I would encourage you make sure that you're working with a doctor who works a lot with ADHD. I think I was kind of under the impression that like all doctors just came with the same knowledge. And I figured out that you really had to know your questions prior going in, and you had to assure yourself that you could push for something in order to get what it was that you needed. And so if you suspected, grades aren't suffering, but I really think that there's some executive function skills that we need supports with. I think there may be some mental health issues we need to explore. You might have to push for, I really want to get them tested, because a doctor may just say, well, until academics struggle, I think we're okay. We'll keep an eye on it. It is okay to push. And then you might ask things like, what kind of medication do you usually find helpful? And they may want to know, do they have problems with sleeping? Do they have problems with anxiety? Do they have problems with anger? There might be other things that you kind of need to have inventory of so that when you go in, you can give them the full picture of where you might be seeing some of those ADHD deficits, or maybe some of those consequences that don't seem to stick with them, or that they don't always think about how what they do affects other people. Think about the behaviors you're noticing so that you can give them a really clear picture of why you might be suspecting that. You might ask about the different medication options that they use. You might even ask if they know of a natural doctor that maybe doesn't use prescriptions but has found other supplements that are helpful, if that is a route that you would rather go. You might even ask, how soon would we be able to try something like this, give it a trial, and then follow up with you. A lot of times when doctors are kind of keeping a pulse on ADHD, they want to see them like every 6 months. So just know that it's okay to push to try something, and it's okay to go in really well informed about the different kinds of medications, so that when they pose one, if there's one that maybe you aren't okay with, you can talk about it right then and there, rather than getting home, doing some of your homework, and then being like, I don't know if I really want this one. Maybe we should have gone for that one instead. I would just really encourage you to do your research and your homework ahead of time, so that if there's any side effects you're worried about, if you want to know how long it might take to see a difference, those would be great questions to ask based on if they decide to use a medication. Great question, Mickey. I know a lot of parents have that question. Let's see, Cherise said, I drive our kids down from Montana to Wyoming for game night. I know, Cherise, you live so far away, but it feels like we are getting more and more people in this area. Mickey's in this area, Kristen's in this area, Megan's in this area. Let's see. We just might have to have a retreat of some sort. We might just have to have like a Friday night, Saturday, and just get some of you ladies together and just kind of have like this crash course and everything parenting, and then throw in the games and the coffee and the good food and snacks and more coffee. All right, let's see. We are TRICARE, so we have to see his primary doctor first to get a referral to another who's well-versed in it. Okay, that is oftentimes the path you have to take. And so that gives you some time to do your homework. It gives you some times, I think we even have a checklist of some different symptoms that you might notice as it relates to ADHD. And so we can talk about that. Mickey is a new addition to our Calm Connection program, and I'm super excited about that. I know Megan is super interested, and so Megan and I are still talking about that. If there is anybody else that would like more information on the Calm Connection program, feel free to put those questions in our chat today, and we can go over those as well. Yes, Mickey said that would be fun. Cherise says retreat. I know, that has been my dream forever, is to have parenting retreats, and I think it would be so fun. Cherise said she's from Bailey, Colorado, so I'd go to Denver too. Oh, good, very good. She still considers that kind of a second home, maybe. All right, me too, thank you. Yes, and Cherise is welcoming you, Mickey. Very good. Okay, hopefully you guys can see the comments as they're coming through. Any other questions? I want to make sure that we're covering everything. If you have questions about your next steps, I am not going to pressure you to be a part of Calm Connection. I want you to be a part of Calm Connection if you feel like it's right for you. If it's something that you feel would support you in what you need as a mom, I am here to talk about that. If you want to do the free 15-minute call and just talk about what you're going to pursue on your own, I'm good with that. I just want everybody to leave the workshop this week and have in mind what your next step is. And if Calm Connection is part of that, great. I would love to set that up with you and get you moving in that direction. If not, we're going to stay connected here in the Parenting with Personality group. We are going to be having some more workshops coming in the future as well. And I want to encourage you, if you are in the Calm Connection program, I wanted to give you just a glimpse into what some of the topics are that we are going to be covering. We are going to be talking about advocating for your child's needs. We've gotten a little better understanding of what our child's needs are, but now we're going to be shifting into how do you advocate for that child? How do you help extended family to understand what your child's needs are? And how do you communicate so that maybe they will handle them differently? Or maybe change their expectations of them. We're going to spend some more time, we've already spent some time talking about this, but we're going to continue to talk about how to get on that same page in parenting. It's a challenge for any two parents who've come to parenting with different experiences, different households, different families of origin, personalities, you name it, to have those differences and come up with, what is it going to look like in our home? What is our parenting going to look like? How are we going to walk this out? And when we have those challenges of high sensitivity, high emotion, challenging behavior, intensity that just kind of looms,
How are we going to handle that? What are we going to do with it? And so that is going to be so important that we get on that same page, whether you're co-parenting and you can only control your part of the equation, or if you're living in the same house, you can only control you. So how do you be clear about what path you feel is necessary? How do you communicate that? How do you find unity? How do you find tools that other people will buy into using with your child? How do you find tools that your child will buy into? We're going to talk a lot about collaborative problem solving. We're going to talk about how to explain to the school what your child might need, how you might ask for those accommodations, what are appropriate accommodations. I know when we first came into this, we entered the whole SPED world and we had no idea how to handle IEPs or 504s or classroom accommodations and what we could even ask for or how to do it. We had to learn certain things you need to ask for in writing. If I can shortcut any of that for you, I am here to do that. So we're going to talk about that. I hope to bring my parents on and actually do a workshop with them so that we can talk through what that was like for them as they started watching our child's needs and as they were growing, as they were surfacing, as they were getting really ugly. And sometimes it was hard for them to understand. And at first they admit that they made judgments, you know, like he needs more discipline, be more consistent with him, come down a little bit harder on him. He just needs. And then what that journey was like to where they are now, where they have a really good understanding of his needs. They realize they have to change that expectation. They realize that sometimes the way they work with him may look different than it may look with our other children. In fact, they've been helpful to where they can even take that child and spend one-on-one time with them and use the same kind of tools and strategies that we use in order to keep that routine and consistency. And I know for a lot of families, that's a piece of the puzzle that you could really use help with, that you could really use an outside source to maybe communicate what your child is going through, what they may need, and how these extended family members can be a support not only to your child, but also to you as a parent. And I think that is key, especially when we're working with high need children. We can burn out really easily. We can burn out if we aren't taking care of ourselves. So I want to encourage you to think of ways that you can be consistent in self-care and not a hot bath at the start of a day or a shower at the start of a day, because everybody kind of needs that. But doing more than that, having that quiet time, having a time where maybe you journal or you read or you pray or study something or, you know, take up an interest or a hobby. It's so important that you keep your spirit fresh as a parent, because it's hard to give from a soul that is weary and worn out. And I think that, you know, we as moms, we as parents in general have to be encouraged in that journey of self-care so that we have better to give rather than an empty tank. And that's so important. All right, we've chatted about so many topics here today. I want to make sure you know about the the coaching needs assessment that's in your workbook. I want to make sure you know that each of you can do a complimentary consult call where you can just send me a message and say call, and we can set up a Zoom call later. My Zoom's working, or we can set up a phone call so that we can help you figure out what are your next steps? What do you need? What support do you need to get where you want to be? And I would just love to talk to any of you. It was my point this week to connect with each of you one-on-one at least once. And I know there are still several of you out there that I haven't been able to connect with. I've sent messages, so be sure to check your message box and let me know if you have any questions. We have about 5 more minutes here if anybody has any more questions. Any questions? I'm checking the chat right now. Anybody else? Sharice has put the link for getting a call set up. You bet. Just message me and my message link is right there. I will give an updated Amazon book list. You bet. I wanted to tell you too that for anybody who is attending today, please put here in the comments so that when I do the book drawing later today, I have to do it on my phone and I'm doing the Facebook, so I can't do it live. But when I do the book drawing later, I want to make sure I have all of the names of people that were in the Facebook Live. So if you watch this, put here. If you watch replay, put replay. That way I can be sure to draw names from people who are watching. We have the Parenting with Personality app. That will be a great way to connect with you. We have the Parent Personality course, which will be one giveaway. We have the Child Personality course, which will be one giveaway. And then we have 2 other books, the book that Jenny Dean Schmidt did and the Whole Brain Child book. So those will be our 2 book giveaways, as well as the Parenting with Personality app courses. Now, be sure to connect on the app. If you just go to the App Store or the Google Play, you can find Parenting with Personality app. It's free to download, and there are plenty of free resources on there. There are also other things that come on that app. When you are a part of Calm Connection, those things are unlocked on the app. So be sure to check out the app and connect here in the group. This group will keep on going. So I want to thank you so much for being a part of this week. It would mean so much to me if you would take just a couple minutes and post in the group something you're excited to try, something you learned, your impression of the workshop. Those things are so helpful when I run workshops, to be able to share what participants have thought and felt and gained from it. So I'm going to be putting a post up later where you can comment below with what your thoughts or impressions, things you learned, your wins, whatever it might be. I would love if you would just take a minute or 2 and share your thoughts with me. I love doing these free workshops. It's a great way to get the tools out there for parents to use. I want to stay connected. So stay interacting in the Parenting with Personality group. If you have questions about Calm Connection, be sure to set up your phone call. I appreciate you ladies all being here today. I will post the giveaways in the group, so be checking back there. And I just want to thank you. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you on a call. All right, have a great day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.